Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 6th of May 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's afternoon session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, some of them that were looked at this morning as well, just to see how they're performing, and a few new ones as well. So before we jump into those, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so let's quickly jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the DAX, the German DAX. So basically, today, of course, looking at this, the cash indices have opened with a huge, and the market in general, it opened with a huge gap here to the downside, and as you can see, this led the kind of DAX open below its downside resistance line. Now, I've talked about this downside resistance line in a few of my previous videos where I was covering DAX, and this downside resistance line has been running here from the highest point of January last year. So quite an interesting one. Some could maybe say it's a bit of a tentative, but as you can see, it was proven that it's quite an important one here. So yep, DAX opened below it, and of course it did try to push initially higher, but kind of failed to stay above it. It failed to close the 4-hour candle above it, and you can see that currently it's still kind of sitting below this downside resistance line. So of course all this kind of creates this a bit of a negative atmosphere here for DAX, as it could potentially lead towards further declines here. Now if it does push lower, and if it struggles to get back above this downside resistance line, then the area that we're going to be targeting is going to be around the 12,030, or just the psychological 12,000 level. Now this could be a nice potential target, but if that fails to withhold, yep, further slide lower could be possible. This is where we will target the 11,850 zone, or this upside support line, this medium-term upside support line taken from the lowest point of December last year. So good potential target here. Of course, all eyes are going to be on this line. If we see a test of this line, it's going to be very interesting to see if it actually breaks it below. If it does, then I mean this could look quite bad for DAX, and yep, we could see further declines here. So but for now, let's not get ahead of ourselves too much. First, let's continue observing this downside resistance line. If suddenly the German index gets back above it, certainly this could be a good sign initially, but to be honest, for us now, in order to kind of, let's say, at least aim for some higher levels, we would like to see a push above the 12,350 level. And for those who like to kind of take it more carefully, in a way, you could wait for a clearance of the recent high that we saw last week. So basically the highest point of last week, which was around the 12,430 zone. The only thing is that slightly above that, at around 12,460, we do have another good potential area of resistance, which marks these highs, the highs of the 21st of September, and it's near the highs of the 27th of September. So in other words, probably better to wait for that break here above the 12,460 before kind of aiming for much higher levels. But for now, like I said, with the upside, it is a bit difficult. We need to see this one at least traveling back above this downside resistance line, at least closing above it, and only then we'll consider the 12,350, where a break of which could kind of switch everything more towards the positive sign, and we see more buyers maybe joining in here. But again, we're still going to keep it very careful, because like I said, we still have a few of these key resistance areas to overcome here, like the 12,430 or the 460 levels. So keep your eyes on those. Jumping into Ethereum very quickly on this one. this morning, today, yep, it's having a nice push higher here from this key area of support near the 158 level. Now I talked about this this one last week as well, and I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on these levels here, the 158, slightly below that we do have the 156. But what's more interesting here is that slightly on the bigger picture here, you can see that the crypto is forming something of an descending triangle. Now you can see that we do have our floor here, we do have our lower side of this triangle near the 146 level, 145 approximately there, and we do have this downwards moving resistance line here, taken from the high of the 7th of April. Now, so in a way, of course, according to textbooks, these tend to break to the downside, but again, we've seen this happening many times, where still the descending triangle gets broken to the upside and continues to travel higher. So for now, guys, probably be very careful with this one. From the short-term perspective, what you could do here is, if we see a drop below the 158 level, keep your eyes on the 156. But if that fails to withhold, then we may see maybe a revisit of the psychological 150 level. And like I said, slightly below that, we do have this lower side of this potential descending triangle formation. But if this decides to push higher and we see a break of this downside resistance line, and of course a nice good strong push above the 168 level, now this is where it could become a little bit more interesting for the buyers, as this could increase the chances for Ethereum to travel towards the 177 level, or even a little bit higher here towards the 185 or 188. And by the way, the last one is marked here by the highest point of April. So that's why keep your eyes on that one. But again, long story short, for the upside, what we're looking here for is a push above the 168 level first. In terms of the downside, we will start considering lower areas if we see a drop below the 158. But then for better confirmation, at least for the short term, kind of from the short term perspective of the downside here, for the downside, we'd like to see a drop below the 155 level. So keep your 55, 56, something like that, approximately there. So have a look at your charts, the ones that you're trading on, and yep, take it from there. Jumping into AUDJPY now, I've looked at this one this morning basically, and this is what I was telling you guys, that keep an eye on this potential move here. So of course you can see that the after kind of finding good support here near the 76-78 zone approximately there, the pair kind of drifted higher, managed to kind of test this key area, and this is where it's, by the way, it's stuck at right now. So the 77.44 43 area, this is where the rate is kind of getting its hold up. It did try to push higher but kind of failed, and you can see that this is now what's happening right now. It's kind of struggling to push above the 77.44. Still, we are keeping this idea in our heads. We may see this a push higher, maybe even a test of this area around the 77.70. But to be honest, still keep your eyes on this downside resistance line taken from the highest point of April, and if it remains intact, then yep, we could see another leg of selling here. So that's why I'd be very cautious. But if it starts breaking here, then if we see a nice good break and a close above of the 4-hour candle above the 77.90 level, now this is where it could become a little bit more exciting for the buyers, as this could increase their the pair's chances to travel back up here towards the 78.40, or even actually going all the way here towards the high of the 29th of April near the 78.93. And just to show you, and just to kind of point out as well, that near this level we do have our 200 EMA here shown as the black line on the 4-hour chart. This could be a nice potential target, but then again, we need to see that nice good pop above the 77.90 level first. Jumping into another pair, which is quite interesting one, and that's EURGBP. So today it's the turn of the euro to perform better than the pound. So last week, of course, we saw the pound selling pound accelerating, and Friday we saw the pound accelerating sharply. Of course the euro was growing as well, but not at that speed, and you can see how strong of a sell-off we had here on the euro GBP, and kind of led it towards the 85 level, kind of even actually overshot it a little bit, and but still kind of closed above it. But this morning we saw this opening, the pair opening with a gap and opening below this 85 level, 0.85 level, of course, and but still that was enough for the bulls to pick up on that and kind of quickly pushed it higher, pushed it all the way towards the 0.8555 area approximately. There just maybe fell shy of a few pips from reaching that. Still, it would have been nice to see maybe a test of the 21 EMA today. Maybe we'll still have that, so not all is lost for the bulls here. But to be honest, it did already have a nice run here, and all of these are nice 4-hour candles, so in a way we could see maybe something like a bit of a correction, and maybe then another leg of buying if the pair let's say struggles to kind of to overcome this 0.85 level. So in other words, we may see maybe a bit of a slide here, maybe a small correction. Now I'm not saying that it might reach the 0.85 level, but this could be that last resort for the bulls to step in, but if that fails to withhold, then yep, further declines could be possible, but for a better confirmation of the downside, probably we'd like to see a nice good break here below the 0.8490, and this way this would confirm a lower low, and a forthcoming lower low, of course, and we could then target the 0.8473 area, which is marked near the lows here, near the lows of the 11th of March and the 13th of March, but if that fails to withhold, yep, further declines could be possible. So for now, guys, long story short, yes, it is trying to push higher. If it continues to push higher and without retracing right now, then keep your eyes on the 21 EMA here, maybe something around the 0.8565 level. But as you can see, I do have this area here near the 0.8555, so basically, in other words, a nice good push above this could open the path towards slightly higher levels. But like I said, keep your eyes on the 21 EMA. If the buying activity still continues, the good potential target here is near the 0.8590, so keep your eyes on this one. But like I said, at some point probably we could see maybe a bit of correction here back down, and then it will be very interesting to see what the pair will do. Will it actually start selling off again? But if it will, then we will only start considering lower levels if we see a drop here, drop below the 0.8490. But if the 0.85 level holds nicely, this could be a perfect good opportunity. I wouldn't use the word perfect, but a good opportunity for the bulls to step in and kind of push this one higher again. So basically, long story short, guys, for now, from the very short-term perspective, for today, keep your eyes on the 0.8555 level. If it gets broken slightly above that, we do have the 21 EMA. But if it stays here, if the rate continues to trade below this, we may see maybe a small retracement back down. And yep, the 0.85 level is going to be the one that we're going to be watching, just in case this decides to correct a little bit more here and travels lower. So anyway, I think you got the picture, guys, so keep your eyes on these two potential scenarios here. So yep, let's see how it's going to play out. USDCAD, last pair for this session. This one, I was talking about this one this morning, and I was telling you guys we were trading basically above this 1.3474 level, and I was telling you that a nice good break above the 1.3474 could potentially lead towards slightly higher levels, and this is what I was saying last week. Of course, today we were already above that, and you can see that the pair managed to push a little bit higher, almost managed to reach this 1.34 96 level, but to be honest, it reached the 95. So a good potential, a good touch here, or let me just correct myself, 94 level. Just fell shy of a few pips here from reaching this our target, but still, it looks quite positive overall. I mean, for now, it looks quite positive, at least from the short-term perspective. And it's trying to push higher. It's trying to push towards this 1.3496 level, but if it gets broken, then yep, that's wonderful. More acceleration to the upside could be possible, where we could then target the 1.3522 zone marked by the high of the 24th of April. And of course, if that fails to hold, further moves higher could be possible as well. But for now, let's keep it short and simple. It is trying to push back up here. Let's see if it actually manages to reach this 1.3495, 96 level, and actually if it manages to break above it. If it does, then the next target for us is around the 1.3522, something like that, approximately there. Of course, the right now it's more of a weaker dollar move here, but yep, let's see if it actually manages to travel further up here. Sorry, stronger dollar move, but US dollar, I mean, but let's see, like I said, let's see if it actually manages to reach here. In terms of the downside, now the downside here, we need to wait and see until we see that drop below the 1.3450, and only then we will target slightly lower areas like the 134 or even below that. For now, it seems that the downside could be slightly off the table. But yep, keep your eyes on this 1.3450, because a break below that could lead towards further declines. Okay guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching until the end. And if you want to join me tomorrow morning at my Trader's Espresso, and that's 6 o'clock GMT time. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.